Welcome to the Personal Finance Tracker. In the description of this video, you'll find a link to download a copy of the sheet we'll be using. When you click Make a Copy, you'll be taken right to your very own amazing spreadsheet. This sheet is pretty foolproof. If you edit outside an allowed zone, you'll get a warning. If you see this warning, hit Cancel to avoid damage to the sheet's formulas. Make sure you give your sheet a name so you can easily find it in your own Google Drive. You can accomplish a lot with just a few entries, and to make it really simple, I've included a chapter menu with all the things we're going to be talking about so you can skip ahead whenever you want. We're going to be talking about a few things, like how you can easily make a monthly budget, see if you're going to go over your budget month to month, create a few savings goals, get a handle on all of our debts, and create a simple repayment schedule that lets you plan exactly how long it'll take you to pay off your debts. You'll also have these handy charts to see an overview of how you're doing month by month and for the total year. We also have these handy fast links. Hover over the link and click the pop-up to jump around the sheet quickly. Before we start, I just want to say that this sheet has a lot of useful tools, and even though it might seem like a lot to learn, I promise you, we're going to take you through it step by step. It will get easier and faster each time you use it. I promise you exponential stress relief that comes from having a handle on your finances. You're worth it, and you can do this. We're going to start with the most helpful part of the sheet, planning our debt payoff. Hit the Debts Overview Fast link and we'll see the Debt Payoff section. You've got room for 6 debts and also 6 credit cards. But we'll get to the credit cards in a bit. Let's start with simple debts. You want to enter in the debts smallest to largest. So for example, let's do a small line of credit, a car loan, and a student loan. We enter in the debt amounts that we currently owe, smallest to largest, and what the original amounts or credit limits were. It's also extremely helpful to go online to your bank or loan website and find out what the interest rates are on your loans. Type them in here. And now you have an idea of where you stand. Next, let's go back and hit the link for the recurring monthly budget down to the debts. And let's start with an estimate on how much we think we can pay down each debt per month. Now we get to do the fun part. Click the Debt Savings tab and you'll be able to see all 3 of your debts, the current amount you decide to pay per month, how much of that is going to the monthly interest, how long it'll take you to pay off the debt, the payment schedule for each debt, and the exact date each debt will be paid off based on the current monthly amount you are budgeting. This tab also has a total debts column where you can see all of that information totaled for all of your debts. 3 things to note. Number 1, the debt columns make the assumption that when you're done paying off one debt, you will put that money toward the next debt, and so on and so forth. 2, the debt payoff schedule starts on the current month and will update month to month, but if you want to make the start date static or set it to a future month so you can start paying it off in the future, you can do that by altering the date here. As time goes by, past months in the schedule will be grayed out. Number 3, if you want to estimate how much faster your debts would be paid off if you paid a little more per month, you can add an extra total monthly payment to your debts as an estimate here. Let's say I'm paying $50, $75, and $90 a month on my debts, which adds up to $215 a month total. I can estimate how much faster the debts would be paid off if I added an extra $60 total per month. So instead of paying off all 3 debts in 7 years and 8 months, I'd be debt-free in 6 years. If I have that extra $60, I put that estimate back to 0. I go back to my personal budget, go to the recurring budget, down to the debts, and I add $60 to the budget of one of my debts. To add credit cards, go up to your accounts and add them in here. Let's say one Visa, that's a TD Visa, one MBNA MasterCard, that's for my gas and groceries, and one business Visa. And let's say I owe this, and this much on the credit cards. Now, if I go down to the debts overview, I can see that my credit cards are here now. I can see how much I owe. I can enter in my credit card limits for each credit card. And again, it really helps to find out what the interest rate on my credit cards are. Now I head over to the Debt Savings tab. Of course, my 3 debts are still here, but if I scroll over or use my fast links to go to credit card 1, I see my 3 credit cards here as well. I can see the info for each credit card, and if I want to start paying these down, personal tab, recurring budget, down to the debts, I can put in a monthly amount to pay down my credit card debt as well. Now I have a payment schedule, debt-free dates, and these 3 debts have been added to my total debt summary. I can see my total monthly payments to my debts, how much of that is monthly interest now and going forward, and how much I'll have paid in interest after my debts are all paid off. And that's how we organize our debts. Now that we have a handle on our debts, the savings goals will be easy to explain. Best practices: 1 savings account per long-term savings goal to stay organized. Let's start with vacation savings, a rainy day fund, and down payment for a house. We start with how much I've saved for each one so far, what the goal amount is for each account, and the interest rate for each account. Next, we go down to the recurring monthly budget, down to savings, and we can estimate how much per month we'd like to save towards each savings goal. If we hop over to our debt savings tab and jump to savings, we can see our savings goals laid out just like our debts. We have all the info: the current amount you decided to pay per month, the payment schedule for each goal, and the completion date of each goal. And they all get totaled here in the total savings summary. Now, you'll notice that in the total savings goal and the savings goal here, the down payment for the house says in bright red text, over 34 years. That's because this is a very large goal. I'm currently only devoting $90 a month to the goal, and the column only has space for 34 years of monthly transactions. If it takes longer than that, the sheet just says over 34 years. That also goes for the debts as well. Just like the debts, I can change the start month to make it static or start in the future, and I can estimate an additional amount to devote towards my savings each month to see how that would affect my completion dates. And that's how we organize our savings goals. Next, let's create a recurring monthly budget. I'm going to start with some basic expenses, but feel free to make it your own. And if you think of anything else later, you can always add it in. I'll start with these recurring monthly expenses. Feel free to pause and enter in your own. Now I enter in a budget for what I think I'll spend on each one. Lastly, I want to put in my expected recurring income per month starting here in January. Now, if I look at my January expenses, I can see my budget for the month, my bills and expenses, how much I want to save this month for my savings goals, how much of my debt I want to pay down this month, and at the top, how much money I have left over in my budget for wants. Your wants budget is your budgeted income minus your budget for your expenses, savings goals, and debt payments. You know, whatever you have left over for things that you want. If you go to the following months, you'll see that all the following months have the same budget for income, monthly expenses, savings goals, and debt payoffs. Now, here are a few notes on monthly budgets. If you start using the sheet sometime other than the first month of the year, you'll want to start your recurring income in the month you're starting to use the sheet. If you get a raise halfway through the year, you can change the recurring income in the month your income is scheduled to change, and your income going forward will recur at the new amount. We also have these variable income slots for artists, contractors, and entrepreneurs that don't make a set salary. These incomes don't recur, so you can estimate your income month to month using the variable income spots, or you can do a mix of both. If your income varies month to month, but you know you'll make at least $1,500 a month, you can set your recurring income to $1,500 a month and then add more in the variable slot for busy season months and less for the slow months. Last thing for monthly budgets, month-specific expenses. Let's say I have 3 specific expenses I want to plan for: my yearly website renewal, my driver's license renewal, and my once-a-year shopping spree. Since all of these things happen once a year, I'm not going to put them in my recurring monthly budget. Each month has a month-specific expense section. So if I put my yearly website renewal in January for $75, my driver's license renewal in September for $90, and my shopping spree in April for $400, this expense won't recur in the other months. They are month-specific expenses. And that's how we organize our monthly budget: income, expenses, savings goals, debt payoffs, and month-specific expenses. We can see if our budget puts us over or under our income threshold by checking if we have any budgeted money left over. If we are under our income threshold, we can either cut things from our recurring budget or try to drum up some new business that adds to our monthly or month-specific income. Lastly, we have the actual day-to-day transactions. So far, everything we've been doing has been planning and budgeting. But to make sure we're staying within our budget, paying down our debts, and saving some money, we want to keep track of our transactions. If you're consistent, you can update your spreadsheet in as little time as 5 to 10 minutes once a week. It all starts with our accounts. At the very top, you have room for 6 spending accounts and 6 credit cards. Let's start simple. Let's say I have one checking account with some money in it. I have an everyday credit card, a gas and groceries credit card. Let's say I owe this much on each credit card. And just for fun, let's say I know that my credit limit for the first card is this, and the gas and groceries has a limit of $3,000. And let's say these are the interest rates. Let's also say I'm not starting to track my finances in January. I'm starting in May. I go to the month of May. I enter in either a recurring or variable expected income for the month. And now I can start entering in transactions for the month. This is where it's very handy to have online access to your history of bank transactions. Entering your transactions is pretty simple. For spending money, double-click on the date and you can pick a date. Choose which account is spending the money. Choose which expense, savings goal, or debt you're paying. If you have a long list, instead of clicking and scrolling, you can just type in a few letters like GRO for groceries and the list gets shorter. Type in a description, like for groceries, I might say Costco, and then how much I spent. Already, you can see that's eating into my grocery budget, but I still have grocery money left for the month. I can use this method to pay for an expense, pay money on a debt, or pay into a monthly savings goal. Let's say I don't classify this payment at all. Let's say I buy a new outfit for $120. It doesn't fall under any of the expenses I've budgeted for, so when I leave it blank, it gets recorded as me spending money on a want. At the end of the month, I can see if I've gone over my budget either because I spent more money than I planned on my expenses or I spent too much money on wants that I didn't budget for. For deposits or payments into an account, it's almost the same. Date, which account is getting the deposit or payment. Here in the middle, if you're getting paid, you click income. For description, you can say who is paying you. This is the part that's different. You put in what you're being paid as a negative. You see here that the color changes, a little cash bag pops up, and it highlights that this amount is going into this account. You can see that when I deposited this $1,000 into my checking account balance increased by $1,000. Let's say you have 2 spending accounts and you want to transfer money from one to another. I start with the date and I copy and paste it to make a second entry. I add the account I'm paying from and the account I'm paying to. For the type, I select transfer and copy that down too. Description here is optional but helpful. And then a positive amount that leaves this account and a negative same amount that goes back into this account. I can do this for account-to-account transfers, payments to credit cards, or withdrawing or depositing cash. Best practice for once-a-week entries, do entries for one account at a time. All your checking transactions, your credit card transactions, and if you use cash a lot, your cash transactions last. And that is how you use this spreadsheet to plan ahead and stay on track. Before we go, here are some helpful tips to become a power user. Every now and then, you'll want to check your credit cards and debts to see if the interest rate has changed. They don't change very often, usually once a year if at all. But if they do change, you want to make sure you change the interest rates in the debt overview so that our projections stay accurate. A lot of these expenses you'll track as you go. But for bill payments and debt payments, it's always a good idea to set a recurring calendar reminder for monthly bill payments, debt payments, and to remember to put some money towards your savings goals. If you skip a few weeks and want to catch up, there are ways to speed up the process by doing batch entries. Most banks will let you download a recent history of your transactions. Depending on how much time you're catching up on, it's best to do it a month at a time, one account at a time. Different banks will format their accounts in different ways. For a bank like TD, you copy the dates, paste the dates in the date column by right-clicking, paste special, values only, or by using the shortcut so you don't mess with the formatting of the sheet. Then you select the descriptions and paste those in as well in the description section. This is the tricky part. Every bank lists their transactions a little differently. For TD, they do spending in one column and deposits in the other. So I copy the spending, paste values only, change the deposit amounts to negatives because in our sheet, deposits are negative, then copy and paste those deposits in one by one to the spreadsheet. With a bank like Tangerine, they record the deposits as positive and the spending as negatives. So I have to reverse that by going to an empty column, type in equals -1 asterisk, and then click this first amount and hit enter. Then grab this dot and drag it down so I have the reverse of all these amounts. Copy, paste values only. This one's a little easier than TD's dual columns, but every bank is a little different and require a little trial and error. Now comes the tedious part. I have to categorize these. Luckily, I can copy and paste descriptions. I know this pizza description was fast food, so I type that in, copy it, and paste it here, here, and everywhere else I see fast food. I can do that with restaurants, groceries, gas, and anything else that pops up more than once a month. Once those are done, I go in and do the singles like rent, phone bill, internet, stuff like that only happens once a month. And anything that doesn't fit into my categories, I leave blank and it gets classified as a want. Then I repeat this process for my other spending accounts and my 2 credit cards. So even when doing this as a batch process, it can be really time consuming to catch up on a full month. So best practice, 5 minutes once a week, manual entries or short batch entries. Next, let's say you budgeted a certain amount to pay monthly towards your savings goals, and you've been really good about it. You put reminders in your calendar to make the payments and everything. But here's the thing. Over time, these savings goals have been gaining and accruing interest. Now, this might seem like overkill, but if you want your savings projections to be super accurate, you have to record your monthly interest from your savings accounts. This is really easy though. You go online to find the interest paid to that savings account for that month. You enter the date, for account it's adjustment and interest, category, save, let's say for my vacation, description, type interest, and then the amount. If it's interest, you put it in as a positive, and if it's a savings fund that lost value, you can put it in as a negative and describe it as a loss or adjustment. And that's how you record your interest. If you want to withdraw money from a line of credit or from a savings account, that's really simple. Date, account the money is going into, either the debt or savings account that you're withdrawing from, descriptions, and then the amount as a negative to indicate it's going into these accounts. Simple. Last but not least, if you've been using our series to track your Canadian self-employed income and expenses, you can connect that sheet to this one in 4 easy steps. First, open the self-employment spreadsheet for the same year and copy the URL. Second, at the top of the page, find the Connect to Self-Employed section, paste the URL here. Third, click this box, paste the URL here in between the quotes, and add an equal sign at the beginning. And lastly, hover over the box and click Allow when you see it. Now, you can see the money you owe for your sales tax and income tax for your self-employed business as one single debt. If you've been following the series and setting aside money for your sales tax and income tax from each paycheck, then this debt isn't something you have to worry about. But if you have a large amount from this year to pay down, you can pop down to the recurring monthly budget, add an amount to pay into that debt per month, check your debt tab to see how long it'll take to pay off at that rate. Hopefully we can make it enough to pay off by the end of this year. And check to make sure that our budget for spending hasn't exceeded our budgeted income. Now, obviously, this debt will get higher as the year goes on and we make more income. But With a little trial and error, we can make our monthly payment to this debt enough to pay down our debt and start saving a little extra money for taxes on our future earnings for this year. And then next year, start putting aside a little money from each paycheck for taxes so this never becomes a debt in the first place. For more info on self-employed income tax preparation, see the link in the description. And there you have it, a plethora of tools at your disposal in one handy spreadsheet. It's a lot to take in, I'll admit, but please remember, you can revisit this video at any time by clicking on the spreadsheet instructions or clicking on a link anywhere you see this TV icon to get info on a specific part of the sheet. You have the chapter menu in the description to help find information that you need, and you can ask me questions in the comments. I'll try to answer as fast as you ask them, and that way other people can see the answers too. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, deep breath. You're amazing, and you can do this.